Hey, what's going on, guys? Ryan Sprague here, coming to you for the Halloween season with a very special list for you today. We're going to be covering my top 10 favorite alien and UFO themed horror movies. It is Halloween. We had to do it. I've got the spooky studio ready to go here. But before we get to the list, be sure to like and subscribe if you're not already. Hit that notification bell so you are the first to be notified of more lists like this in the future. But yeah, I thought what better way to celebrate the spooky season than to mix and meld it with what we do best here at Somewhere in the Skies, and that is aliens and UFOs. Now, these are not in a order per se. These are not my top 10 in like ascending or descending order. I actually went chronological by the year that the films came out. So yeah, you're gonna go from the earliest to the most recent UFO and alien horror themed movies today. So number 10 comes to us from 1979, and you know what that means. It's Alien. In Ridley Scott's Alien, the crew of the commercial spaceship Nostromo answers a mysterious distress signal on a remote planet, unknowingly awakening a deadly extraterrestrial organism. What begins as a routine mission becomes a claustrophobic struggle for survival inside the ship's metallic corridors, as the crew faces an intelligent predator that hides in the shadows. Alien is the epitome of a slow burn in the best of ways. I mean, it takes a while for us to really get to the meat of what this story is about, and it has one of the most iconic moments in sci-fi horror, body horror history. Obviously, you guys know what I'm talking about. Alien popping out of the stomach. Yeah, that's Alien. What else did this movie bring to us? Oh yeah, only the most iconic heroine in horror sci-fi history, Sigourney Weaver, and don't you dare tell me you did not have a crush on her after this movie. I definitely did. Alien can be wrapped up like this: a nightmare in deep space. I mean, you can't get better than it. You obviously can't. It's Alien, which would go on to spark many sequels, prequels, now a television series. There's something to be said about the xenomorphs and how unbelievably terrifying and alien they are. If that is at all what aliens look like, I want nothing to do with it. We are moving to number 9, and next on the list is another movie from a horror icon. That's the one and only John Carpenter, so you know what that means. The Thing. The Thing was released in 1982. And it's set in the isolation of Antarctica. The movie follows a team of scientists who uncover an alien life form that can perfectly imitate any living being. As paranoia spreads through the camp, no one can be trusted, and the line between human and monster begins to dissolve. The film's mounting tension, unforgettable practical effects, and very bleak setting create an atmosphere of dread and distrust that lingers long after the credits roll. I have to be completely honest, it took me till like last year to actually watch The Thing, and I am so happy that I did. We did a full review of it here on the channel with my good friends, screenwriters and actors, Nick Westermeyer, Andrew Sanford. Shout out to you guys. But yeah, it's The Thing. It's winter horror at its best. And look, this movie actually didn't do that well in theaters when it first came out. It bombed.
Over the years, people have asked me about The Thing because on its release, it was not particularly successful with audiences or fans. But years later, because of home video and so forth, it got to be known a little bit better. But my reaction, I was pretty stunned by it at the time because I made a really grueling, dark film, and I just don't think audiences in 1982 wanted to see that. They wanted to see E.T. And The Thing was the opposite of that. The thing that disturbed me about it was that the fans turned out hating it so much. There was a famous magazine back then called Cine Fantastique, which was loved and hated by various directors, and they had a story that said, "Is this the most hated film of all time?" Which didn't do a lot to assuage my ego, but I'm very proud of the movie. I've always loved it. It's one of my favorite of my own films.
He poured his heart and soul into this. It's one of the favorite movies he's ever made, and it did so bad. But look at it now. It's become not a cult classic, but a horror movie classic. That tension that just builds between each of these men. We never truly know who the thing is, and that's the genius of this movie. It takes many different forms, and it just brings this paranoia to the surface. And you put yourself in the shoes of each of these men. What would you do? And while we might mock them sometimes for some of the choices they make in this movie, I dare you to be put into this situation and come out on top as the sole survivor. Speaking of survivors, that ending, oh my God, one of the most nihilistic endings to a movie I've ever seen, but just absolutely perfect. The acting is incredible. You got Wilford Brimley, you got Kurt Russell, you got all of these amazing actors bringing this movie to life, and I am so unbelievably happy that I finally saw it, and you should definitely check out The Thing. Next up on our list is one you might not be expecting, but it actually comes to us from 1989, and that is The McPherson Tape. Directed by Dean Alioto and presented as a found footage recording long before the genre became mainstream, The McPherson Tape captures what seems to be a home video of a family birthday party that takes a terrifying turn. As the night unfolds, the family notices strange lights in the woods and they experience power outages, leading to escalating panic as they realize they may not be alone. Shot in a gritty and raw handheld style, the film's realism and improvised performances make it feel disturbingly authentic, blurring the line between fiction and supposed evidence of a real alien encounter. If you guys are followers of my work, you know the director of this movie, Dean Alioto. He has been on the show many times. We talk all about the making of this film, but what is the most interesting aspect, I think, to all of this is that this movie, for many years, was actually thought to be an authentic alien abduction caught on film. That's right. It was leaked out to the UFO community, and people started showing it at UFO conferences saying, we got it. We got the most authentic evidence ever of an alien abduction. And for decades, people thought it was real. It would eventually take the filmmaker, Dean Alioto, to go to UFO conferences and debunk his own movie, saying, no, I hired actors, I built sets, I got these special effects artists from things like the X-Files to come in and build our UFO. This is a movie, a fictional movie, guys, but UFO community was not having it. And there are people to this day who still think this is real, and that shows how good of a found footage film it is. The first found footage film ever made. This came several years before the Blair Witch Project was even a glimmer in the eye of those filmmakers. So kudos to Dean Alioto for truly being a pioneer in almost creating the genre of found footage film. And yeah, this one really stuck with me. We do a whole breakdown of the movie, the origins of it, and everything in between in our interviews with Dean Alioto, who I've also had the pleasure of working with as an actor. I was in a horror movie of his called Portal, which also features Scream Queen herself, Heather Langenkamp. You can find Portal on Amazon. Just type it in. You will find it. I play a douchey ghost hunter in that movie, which, now that I think about it, isn't far off from my actual life right now. Dean, what were you trying to say? Anyways, I highly recommend checking out The McPherson Tape. It will keep you glued to the screen and terrified of alien abductions for many years to come. Next up, we are not leaving alien abductions. We are heading to Snowflake, Arizona, and you know what that means. Fire in the sky. Coming to us from filmmaker Tracy Torme in 1993, and based on the real-life Travis Walton case, Fire in the Sky tells the story of a logger who vanishes after an encounter with a mysterious light in the forest, leaving his co-workers accused of foul play. Days later, Travis reappears, only he's traumatized and unable to recall what had actually happened. As his memories begin to resurface, so do hints of something truly extraordinary and terrifying. The film captures the emotional and psychological toll of those caught between skepticism and the unexplained. Fire in the Sky has one of the most iconic movie posters ever made, in my opinion. You know, the one where the beam is blasting into Travis Walton's chest. That thing, I still get chills looking at it, and I still get chills watching the terrifying abduction scene in this movie. Now, again, for those of you in the UFO community, you know the name Travis Walton very well. But for anyone who wasn't aware, this is based on the actual case of Travis Walton, who we actually had on the podcast only a few weeks ago as of the recording of this. And, some 50 years later, he is still traumatized by the events that happened out there in the forests of Snowflake, Arizona. And whether you believe his story or not, it truly became a iconic case, controversial case in the UFO world, and then became one of the most iconic horror alien-themed movies of all time. So I would definitely recommend reading the true story of Travis Walton, the book, The Walton Experience, and then go watch the movie Fire in the Sky and see how they compare and contrast, because they are vastly different. But the film does hold a special place in my heart. It absolutely traumatized me when I saw it at much too young of an age, and if I only knew what my life was to become after watching this back in 1993, I don't think young Ryan would be on this path where he is now with UFOs and alien abductions. But you should definitely check out Fire in the Sky. We are moving to the late 90s next, guys, with 1998's The Faculty. At a typical American high school, a group of misfit students begin to suspect that their teachers, and possibly some of their classmates, are no longer who they seem. The Faculty blends teen drama, sci-fi paranoia, and sharp humor as the students uncover a chilling secret that threatens to spread far beyond the school's walls. Clever, self-aware, and packed with suspense, the film reinvents the alien invasion story through the lens of teenage rebellion and survival. Man, I remember the first time watching this movie with my buddy Josiah on Halloween one year, and it stuck with me. It truly stuck with me. And it has our favorite Lord of the Rings actor, Elijah Wood, kind of my colleague now over at Spectre Vision Radio. Hint, hint. Spectre Vision Radio is where you can find our podcast. Elijah Wood created Spectre Vision Radio. It's all connected. But yeah, this movie is awesome. You know, self-aware is the perfect way to put it. It knows what it is. It knows how to have fun, but it also has terrifying creature effects. And it's very Body Snatchers, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. It's, I would say, kind of a homage to that film set in a 1990s high school in America. But again, it's kind of like The Thing too, where you don't really know who the alien is, what their motivations are, and it has some scary moments. Like, I remember watching it and I was in high school when this thing came out, and I'm like, oh my god, what if this happened at my school? What would I do? How would I find out who the alien is? Or am I the alien? So yeah, Faculty holds a special place in my heart as well, and I really think you should check it out to get that 90s horror feel. It is peak 90s, to say the least. Check out The Faculty. We move next to the only M. Night Shyamalan movie on this list, guys, and it is Signs. Coming to us in 2002, Signs follows a widowed former priest living on a Pennsylvania farm who discovers massive crop circles in his fields. As strange events unfold around his family and global reports of alien sightings surface, he's forced to confront both the unknown and his own crisis of faith. Combining psychological suspense with a deeply personal story, Signs turns an alien invasion into a powerful exploration of loss, belief, and the search for meaning amid chaos. When I learned that M. Night Shyamalan was making a alien movie, I could not think of a better communion of sorts. And this is definitely a perfect movie, in my opinion. Now, I know a lot of people will definitely disagree with me and think there's overacting, the script is so-so, whatever. I don't care. Signs is my favorite M. Night Shyamalan movie. Yeah, you heard me right, Sixth Sense. For obvious reasons, being that it's about aliens and crop circles and UFOs, but I just think that this is a very poignant film for anyone who is struggling with maybe their faith or their beliefs or anything in that way, even trauma or the loss of someone, grief. That is such a big part of this movie as well, as a priest is struggling with his faith because of something absolutely terrible that happens to one of his loved ones. And then you mix in an alien invasion and boom, you've got Signs. This reminds me of a Hitchcockian movie in many different ways, especially the kind of climax of the film. Very Birds-esque, if you ask me, of this family trapped in a home and aliens trying to get in and all that. But yeah, there's a lot to dissect when it comes to Signs. And of course, you've got the brilliant acting of Mel Gibson and Joaquin Phoenix in this movie as well. And yeah, this one just really gets to me every time I watch it. And it just so happens to be about aliens. And of course, you've got that famous home video moment where the alien walks by and Joaquin Phoenix rears back in terror. Don't tell me you didn't jump when that happened. That moment traumatized many of us growing up. So yeah, definitely check out Signs from 2002. You will not be disappointed. The next one on our list is interesting. If one more person comes to me and asks if this movie is real, oh my God, I'm gonna lose it. I swear to God. But again, that is a testament at how well the movie marketed itself. And that is the movie The Fourth Kind. The Fourth Kind, released in 2009, is set in Nome, Alaska, and it presents itself as a chilling blend of dramatization and alleged real footage, as psychologist Dr. Abigail Tyler investigates a pattern of disappearances and disturbing memories shared by her patients, as hypnosis sessions uncover recurring visions of non-human entities. The line between science, delusion, and the paranormal begin to blur. The film's documentary-style format heightens its unsettling realism, leaving viewers questioning how much of what they've seen could be true. I'll say this, the quote-unquote archival footage in this movie is petrifying. And when they put it side by side with the actors, I get why people thought that the archival footage was real. The acting is fantastic in this movie. And, it touched on a lot of things, whether it's the ancient alien theory, abductions, the addition of owls into mythology of alien abductions and UFOs and stuff like that. It all blends together to make a truly terrifying experience. So yeah, I would say definitely check out this movie. The Fourth Kind is become one that a lot of people in the UFO field have shied away from because it was proven to be completely 100% made up. I don't know if a lot of people went missing in Nome, Alaska, but this film, if that is true, this film kind of is a little exploitative in its nature of saying that it was all alien abductions. So yeah, little ethical dilemma there. But all things to say, it's a slick, good horror movie. And yeah, check out The Fourth Kind if you can. Our next film is not to be mistaken for the television series, but the actual movie, and that is Dark Skies. Released in 2013, Dark Skies sees a suburban family's peaceful life unravel when a series of bizarre events, such as missing objects, Eerie symbols and disturbing dreams suggest they're being targeted by an unseen force. As paranoia deepens and their young son begins to experience strange phenomena, the parents must confront the possibility that their family has been marked by something not from this world. Mixing domestic drama with escalating supernatural tension, Dark Skies slowly tightens its grip until the truth becomes impossible to ignore. Now, for those of you who don't know, I am actually really good friends and colleagues with Bryce Zabel, who created the television Dark Skies. So when this movie came out and ripped off his title, I was very anti Dark Skies, the movie. But once I actually sat down and watched it, I was pleasantly surprised. And this shot up to becoming one of my favorite alien abduction themed movies out there. You've got the return of Kerry Russell in this movie as well. She does a fantastic job. And the way this family kind of fights back against this, what seems to be a lineage in their family of alien abductions, it is truly terrifying, especially when one of their sons goes missing by the end of the movie. And it has one of the best kind of cliffhanger endings I have ever seen in this genre. So you should definitely check out Dark Skies. All right, we have only 2 left, guys, and the next one comes to us from the brilliant mind of Jordan Peele, and it is Nope. Nope follows 2 siblings who run a horse ranch in rural California, and they begin noticing mysterious occurrences in the skies above their property. Determined to capture proof of what they suspect is a UFO, they enlist the help of others in a daring plan that spirals into something far more dangerous than they could have ever imagined. Blending science fiction, horror, and social commentary, Nope explores humanity's obsession with spectacle and the costs of turning fear into entertainment. I'm just gonna say it, best UFO movie ever made, bar none. The way that they portray the UFO in this movie is unlike anything you have ever seen. A quote-unquote biological UFO, as it were. The fact that these things could be living like in our atmosphere, and they are hungry, and they are feeding off of us. This is Jaws set in a Western kind of atmosphere in the sky. It is Jaws in the sky. And Jordan Peele does such an incredible job of bringing this story to life of these siblings and truly showing that no matter what, entertainment seems to always come first. There is a lot of social commentary in this movie, especially the subplot that has to do with the murderous monkey, as it were. But I just love how this story unfolds. The acting is obviously incredible as well. The landscapes are beautiful. But for me, what really clenched this movie to being my favorite UFO movie of all time is the way that he portrays the UFO itself. So I cannot recommend enough to you guys Nope from 2022. Check it out. And our last movie on my top 10 list of alien themed horror movies comes to us from 2023, and it is titled No One Will Save You. In this nearly dialogue-free thriller, a reclusive young woman living alone on the outskirts of town finds her home under siege by otherworldly intruders. As she fights to survive the night, her past and the reason for her isolation slowly come into focus. No One Will Save You delivers a tense, emotional blend of alien horror and psychological storytelling, offering both relentless suspense and a haunting meditation on guilt, loneliness, and redemption. This movie was actually a Hulu original, and I'm gonna be honest, I didn't have much hope for it, but coming out of this film, I just felt so invigorated to continue writing. For those of you who may not know, I am a screenwriter. I write movies, I write plays, and to have a movie that literally has no dialogue in it and it be as effective as it is truly says a lot about the writer, the director, and the main actor. And they all do an incredible job in this movie. What this movie really reminded me of is a Twilight Zone episode. In fact, I believe there is a Twilight Zone episode that has no dialogue in it as well, and it has to do with aliens and UFOs. So there's clearly homage being paid in the form of No One Will Save You, but they expand upon it. They make it their own, and I loved it. I loved the alien design. I loved the tense, suspenseful nature to the film, and it has one of the most bonkers endings I have ever seen in a movie in this genre. So I cannot recommend enough to you. No One Will Save You. You will not be disappointed. All right, guys, we did it. We made it to the end of the list. These were my top 10 favorite alien and UFO themed horror movies. I hope you enjoyed my list. I know your list will greatly differ from mine, so I want to know in the comments below, what are your favorite alien and UFO themed horror movies? Put them in the comments. Have a discussion down there. Let me know what you thought of my list. I'll let you know what I think of yours. And look, we're all going to find new movies to watch during spooky season. So I love doing these lists with you guys. Give me recommendations on what kind of lists you would like in the future, what kind of stuff we should cover on the channel. And if you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell. You will be the first to know when these lists come out. But for now, I will leave you with these movies. Have a very, very happy Halloween season. I will see you soon on the podcast and beyond. And I'll leave you with our mantra, as always: keep your feet on the ground, but never stop searching somewhere in the spooky skies.